1779 FN, an act requiring monitoring of certain radioactive air pollutants. Having considered the same, report the same with the following resolution. Resolved that it is an inexpedient to legislate. Representative Doug Thomas for the majority of the committee. Minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Representative Robert Backus for the minority of the committee. The chair recognizes the member from Rye, Representative Messmer, to speak against the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would install 21st century technology to monitor radiation levels in the seacoast. We have two significant potential sources of radiation in the seacoast. They are the U.S. Naval Shipyard that refurbishes nuclear submarines and the Seabrook Nuclear Power Station. Currently, there's only one real-time monitoring station in the state of New Hampshire, and that is right here in Concord, very far away from these two sources of radiation. As most of you probably know, we also have a pediatric cancer cluster that consists of two different types of rare cancers in our children. And we also have almost 3 times the expected rate of brain and central nervous cancer in children in the same area. Like Massachusetts, New Hampshire has received around $2 million a year from NextEra since 1985, which is now matched by the federal government, always has been actually. This bill would give the 17 towns in New Hampshire the same public health information that the 4 towns in Massachusetts has had since 1985. Massachusetts uses part of their allocated funds to install this real-time radiation monitoring system and monitor it since 1985. In recent testimony, the Health and Human Services Committee heard from NextEra Energy that more than 50% of the main concrete structures at the Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant have been degraded by the alkali silica reaction to the worst stage, which is stage 3. We must monitor the potential for radiation releases with the concrete disintegration. Seabrook plant operators admit to releasing small amounts of radiation during maintenance operations. We also know that there has been a large tritium release to groundwater in 1999 from the plant. This equipment to monitor radiation levels is needed because it could also provide valuable information for bioterrorism. In the case of the 3 Mile Island disaster, it took 5 weeks to learn that the reactor operators had measured fuel temperatures near the melting point. We didn't learn for years after that the reactor vessel was physically open. When it was physically open, that half of the uranium fuel had been melted. A small portion of the money that the state gets from NextEra and the federal government could be used to let the seacoast people know what their exposure to radiation is. Thank you very much.
Does the member yield to questions? Mr. Baldessari, may inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative, for taking my question. Isn't it true that came up in the committee hearing that the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, which has nuclear subs, that they have testing equipment that is constantly on over there for any leakage, and that the Air Force Base, also has this type of monitoring equipment, that this company that came in to testify is just somebody that brought in an idea that we're already doing it all over?
Thank you for the question, Representative. Actually, we do know that there are perimeter monitoring stations around the U.S. Navy shipyard. There are none that I'm aware of at Pease, and this same company that has been proposed to do this work has been operating the system in Massachusetts in the 4 towns since 1985.